Yes, you're welcome back from the quick break. This is still Sun Up on Shobiz TV with me, Evergreen Asantwa. In case you just tune in, remember we are live on our Facebook and on our YouTube at Shobiz TV. If you have an Android phone, you can download the Shobiz TV app on Google Play Store. And this is our Power Pack feature interview segment.
Running around, throwing that dirt all on my name. 'Cause you knew that I'd call you up. You go around, go around, go around.
Yes, you are welcome back, and like I said, this is our Pop Art feature interview segment, and today we are looking at creative art and mental health. We know that our mental health affects how we think, how we feel, how we handle stress related to others and even our own stress. And mental health has become a common topic. People are talking about it, especially with bipolar, which is also related to mental health. And this is also a topic that is very, very underrated. We don't take it seriously. And today we are here to discuss or to look into details about mental health, and particularly related to also the creative art industry. And we have here in the studios a certified counseling psychologist, and she's in the person of Natalia Nana Ama Ando. Ladies and gentlemen, Natalia,
Yay.
you're welcome.
Thank you, Asanswa.
You look good.
Thank you. You look very beautiful as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's good to have you, by the way.
Great to be here. It
Right.
feels so good to be here. So warm.
Right. So we are talking about creative art and mental health.
Yes.
Yes, and this is also a project that you're embarking on, right?
Right.
But aside that, what else do you do?
What else do I do? Gosh, I do so many things, but
Right.
for the purposes of this
Okay.
interview, I
Right.
think we should just stay with
Right.
being a counseling
Right.
psychologist.
Right.
Yes.
So you're a counseling psychologist,
Yes, I
like I
am.
mentioned, a
Yes.
certified
A
one.
certified one,
As a
in
matter of fact.
Yes.
So that should feel good.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are talking about creative art and mental health, and I think it's good if we start with the basics. So let's
Right.
look at what mental health means.
Right. So mental health is a connection between your mind,
Right.
your emotions,
Right.
and your behavior. You know, there's a fine line between the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you behave. And that comes together to form your mental health because it has a direct link. How you think, for the most part, will inform how you feel, which will inform how you behave. And all of it comes together to make up your mental health.
Right. You know that usually here in Ghana, especially with the cases of Abna Koko, as a matter of fact, if I should mention, she's one of the people who have actually come out to tell us what she is going through. But like I mentioned, it is something or a topic which is very, very underrated. We don't take mental health very serious here in Ghana, not at all. Yes. But usually people who are bold enough come out to tell us. But most of the cases, we don't even know what people are going through. So how do we identify someone who is going through mental health?
We don't need to identify someone who's going through mental health.
Right.
As an individual, you need to know yourself, to know the changes that occur, to know you're going through something. If your question is with regards to maybe family members or close people around them, yes, there are ways that you can tell that somebody is going through something. Usually you can tell because their patterns will change. Everybody has a pattern. Every human being has a pattern. We're creatures of habit. We do the same things all the time.
Right.
Sometimes you'll try to be spontaneous and do something different.
Right.
But those ones happen like once in a while. So typically, everybody has a pattern. They have a sleep time, wake up time. They have the way they behave, whether they are a happy person, whether they are a calm person, whether they are introverted, extroverted. Everybody has a pattern. Usually when something is wrong, you find that patterns will change. Sometimes even your sleep changes when you are going through a phase, a mental phase, if you may, because it means that something is wrong. It means that you're going through something that you don't feel good about, or it's not working very well for you as a person. So in identifying if somebody close to us, a family member, a close friend, is going through a mental health phase or situation, patterns will change. You find somebody who's really outgoing and suddenly they don't want to go out. You know, they just want to be indoors. It can, if it's happening one time or for a short period, it's fine.
Right.
But if it goes on for longer than normal, then there's a problem. Okay. These are some of the ways that we can identify when something is wrong. Okay. But otherwise, as a person, you should know yourself. You should know who you are. You should know the things that make you happy, things that don't make you happy. You should know what you do when you're angry. You should know what your emotions are. So when things change, you should be able to tell if you are sadder than normal and there's no particular reason why. If you're sad because you lost a parent, you lost a job, you don't have money, this and that, and you can attribute the sadness to a reason, then you're good. But if you cannot attribute it to a reason, everything is okay, but you just wake up and today I'm just sad, and you brood in that moment for a long time, it becomes a problem. However, my focus is more on creatives. Because creatives, unfortunately, are on the losing end of the mental health conversation. Right. They go through so much, and they go through so many phases when it comes to mental health. They do so much. They take on so much. Creatives will go through burnouts. Creatives will go through depression, because typically creatives want to create all the time. And in moments that they are not creating, they feel depressed. They feel like, oh, it's not happening, you know. There's a, you know, your brain is split into two parts. There's the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere. Neurologists have made us understand that the left part of your brain is the logical part of your brain. It's where all the mathematics and all the logical reasoning lies. The right side, however, is where creativity is. And you find that in history, all of the creative people, the Michelangelos, the Vincent van Goghs, all of the creative people would operate for the most part from the right hemisphere of their brains. The right hemisphere is also where all the depression, all the anxiety, all the mood disorders and everything lies. So it becomes a case of, typically if you're playing a lot in a certain area, you get the good from the area and you equally get the bad. So a creative can access a mood disorder quicker than a logical person, a left-brained person. You know, people who operate from the left hemisphere of their brains, they want access mood disorders and all of the anxiety, all of that as quickly as a creative would. Also because creatives, sometimes depending on what you do in the industry, you can have a period where you go through a lot of different phases of stress. Creatives can experience burnouts. Creatives can experience a lot of depression because, like I said early on, when a creative is not creating, they feel useless. They feel like, what am I doing? And it's so easy for them to fall into depression that way. And so part of my campaign really is to let creatives understand that all of these feelings are very, very normal. However, it requires that they seek help. Because as much as, when I say normal, I don't mean normal in its meaning. I mean that it's okay that these feelings come to you. It's okay that you feel that way, but don't let it stay with you. Don't let it remain with you. You need to seek help. And creatives go through the harshest realities. I mean, on social media, you find all the bullying that happens to them on a regular basis. And these are human beings with feelings. They will feel it. They will deal with it. But how they deal with it is also another conversation altogether. Creatives will go through sometimes imposter syndrome, where they feel like they are not adequate. They feel like even though they are able to be their best selves, creating the best of what they can. When they're done, they still feel like it's inadequate. They feel like this is not enough. But I should be able to do better. I can do better. And then there's always all the competition that happens. You know, people fall back. There's a lot of addiction in the creative space. People fall back on all kinds of things to survive and save face. And by survival, I don't even mean, you know, financially or how they do physically. I mean mentally. People fall back on drugs and alcohol and all kinds of things.
The addiction.
Just to survive, you know. And addiction is a mental health condition. So really, my campaign is for creatives to understand that they are in a space where it's so easy to access all of these mental health conditions, and it is not it should not be a problem. There is always a help available. They just need to, first of all, acknowledge that this is how I'm feeling. This is what I'm going through. This is what I can do about it. And then move on from that.
But with what you're saying, how often do these creative experience mental health challenges?
Oh, very often. Very often. But people... some people are bold to talk about it. There are so many big names out there that have come out to talk about their mental health battles. Some have been able to win the battles, others not so much. I can talk about the likes of Robin Williams, who took his own life. There's a long list of creatives who have battled with depression on again, off again, and eventually lost the battle and would end up committing suicide or dying by suicide. Some people are bold to talk about it. Just recently, Taraji P. Henson is talking about her battle with mood disorders, you know, and so many other people. Even here in Ghana, we have so many people who have come out to talk about the fact that they had a moment when they felt depressed or they felt like things were not happening the way they should. You know, so it happens very often. However, people feel there's a shame attached to mental health. There's a vulnerability that comes with you coming out to say that I was depressed, I am depressed, I have an addiction, I cannot sleep at night, I suffered a burnout. So they go through it, but they don't want to share it. They deal with it by themselves. And sometimes the dealing with it also starts a whole new mental health condition, because the thing about finding a coping mechanism is that if you don't find the right kind of coping mechanism, that can become an addiction. And if it is not a good thing, then you start a whole new problem all over again. You know, so it's something they go through a lot. It's a matter of the confidence to share, or even if not to share, to seek help. That is part of the reason why I'm here.
And talking about coping mechanisms, I've realized that even if not people with mental health issues, usually when you find something as a coping mechanism, I don't know what is it, but I want you to tell us, what is that thing that pushes them to, you know, sometimes you can just ignore every other thing and then your focus is on your coping mechanism. So what is that thing that pushes them to ignore all other things and focus?
Find it, because it's survival. A coping mechanism is, so let me use a tree as an example. There's a root. So the root is the problem. Right? But then there's a stem and then there are the branches. Okay? And a lot of people, when they have a problem, they would find the coping mechanism becomes maybe the stem or one of the branches or even all of the branches, because then they are holding on for dear life. It's a matter of survival. You're going through something and you feel like, this and I'm going through, when I do this, I feel better about that situation. So maybe you decide that maybe drinking alcohol calms your nerves. Maybe you're dealing with anxiety, a lot of it. So drinking alcohol calms your nerves. Anytime you have a bottle, you know, you're calmer and it's easier for you. So that becomes your lifeline. Anytime you're feeling that way, your first line of action is to go to the bottle. And eventually, one bottle is not enough. you're going to have to up the dose and up it. Before you know it, you're doing 10, 15 bottles just to cope.
Right.
And then that becomes an addiction. Because then that is survival.
Right.
That is what I do so that I don't feel anxious. Right. So I'm holding on for dear life,
right.
you know. Nothing else matters. Right. Nothing else matters. It is me and my bottle. That's how I survive. That's how people fall in deep. The mind of an addict is not the regular mind. Right. You know, addiction can reshape how you reason.
Right.
And so an addict is reasoning in a way that it's a matter of survival for me.
Right.
This is what, when I do, it keeps me calm. It makes me feel okay. Right. And so this is where I stay.
Right.
Nothing else matters. It is a reason why an addict will down the consequences and use, I don't know, they can sell everything they have. And everything other people have,
right.
just to survive. Yes.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. So it means that it all boils down to what can keep them or what makes them feel okay. So once this particular coping mechanism makes them feel okay, they don't care what is happening elsewhere. They'll just go ahead to do that.
It is the reason why you need to find a good coping mechanism. It is the reason why seeking help is good, because there are therapists, there are people who are trained to help you.
How often do we seek for help? Especially
people don't.
People don't.
They don't. Because here's what, I've had a few dialogues in a few places where people would ask me, but where can I go?
Right.
Who can I talk to?
Right.
You know, because they don't know that there is help out there. It's also part of my education as I go around to let people understand that there is help out there, okay? There are a lot of trained therapists, psychologists, clinical psychologists. Some people sometimes need medications for what they're going through. Right. You can see a clinical psychologist. If it's therapy, you can see a counseling psychologist, a therapist, and all of these people will speak to you, understand your situation. Also, when it comes to your mental health, there is no one size fits all. Typically, when somebody has a headache, I know in a lot of offices, if not every office, there's a first aid box where there's a, paracetamol and this and that. There's something for your stomach if you're running and this and that. And anybody in the office who has a headache can access that first aid box and get a painkiller that will soothe their headache. So it feels like anybody's headache can be soothed by that painkiller. Unfortunately, when it comes to dealing with mental health situations, it's not a one size fits all. Every situation is peculiar, so you need to speak to the individual to find out exactly what is going on with them, to be able to tell how to address their situation and how you can help them. So if you went to see a therapist and they told you that, Asantewa, why don't you try journaling? Okay, journaling is always a good or a great coping mechanism. At the end of the day, just write down your feelings. How did today go? How do I feel? This and that. And you have a friend who's going through a mental health situation and you tell them, journal. Unfortunately, it may not help them. Do you understand? It may help you because of the conversations you had with whoever was helping you and how they have assessed your situation and said to you that you in particular, because of where you're coming from and all the things you're dealing with, journaling will help you, an individual. It may not work for
the
other person. So it's always good that individuals seek individual help when it comes to your mental health. It is never a one size fits all, because it's coming from a person is formed based on their beliefs, how they were raised, their scars, their trauma, everything they have been through. And no two people have gone through the same thing. No two people have gone through the same thing. The way you were raised, even siblings experience different parents. Siblings who were born by the same parents experience different parents. Based on the time that they were born. The first child was born when the parents were rich, And 5 years later, when they were broke, is when the second child was born. So she comes to meet it's same mother, same father, but different parents. So no two people have the same experiences. It's not possible. It is the reason why you have to individualize seeking help when it comes to your mental health.
Right. I would also be happy if you can elaborate on the fact that, or the notion that people who actually are mentally unstable are somehow the best creatives. I don't know if you've heard about that.
So, yes, absolutely. So, you're operating on the right hemisphere of your brain. I said early on that there are left brain people and right brain people. The right brain people are the creatives. They are the ones who make all the things happen. The Michelangelos, the Vincent van Goghs, the Kanye West. All of these are right brain people. And it is also in the right brain that all of the problems are. All of the moods, all of the mood disorders, all of the psychosis, all of it is there. So it feels like the common way to explain that is, if you play in Spintex a lot, if Spintex is your area that you play, you eat here, you play here, whatever. Let's say eat. Okay, all the restaurants in Spintex is where you eat. Okay? If there's an outbreak of anything that affects food, it will catch you, won't it? Because this is where you play. So if you play in a space where you get creativity, but you also have the easiest access to depression, you have the easiest access to everything else when it comes to your mental state. It is the reason why a lot of creatives go through mental health situations. Again, that is why, for me, I feel like they need to understand that it comes with the terrain. There's nothing wrong with it. You just need to know how to handle the situation so that you can get help for it. It's really that simple. Because once you know that, okay, so this is my terrain, these are the possibilities, these are the positives here and the negatives here. I can have access to this, I can equally have access to that. So once you know it, you accept it, you know, this is how I can get help. When I'm feeling this way, it is normal. When creatives are not creating, they get fidgety, they get, oh my God, there's nothing happening. It's the reason why you would hear, for instance, recording artists who have not been out with a single album in 3 years or 4 years or 5 years. The next conversation they have or interview they have, they'll say, I was depressed. You don't hear that? You hear that all the time. I was depressed. Because when a creative is not creating, they don't know what to do with themselves. So the next thing that is accessible to them is a feeling of, I feel so down. Also because there's always a lot of competition out there. You see all your other people, you know, in your industry that are thriving, that are doing stuff, and you can't access your creativity. There's a block, there's a mind block for you, and then you get fidgety and you get, oh my God, what am I going to do? You know, and then that is when you start spiraling. That is when you need control. Because if you don't find that control, you start spiraling. Then it's like, oh, okay, how can I cope? Then you start looking for something, you know, to manage your feelings, because a lot of anxiety sets in, you know. Also, the demand on you as a creative does not make the situation any better. You have followers, fans, all the people who are looking up to you, who are very unkind in recent times. Your generation, I reckon you're a Gen Z. Yeah, you're very unkind on social media with, you know, your how you verbalize and all of that. So these people are very unkind, and you go on social media and see all the words. You see your colleagues who are thriving and all the words that are associated with them, and you come to your own page and see, okay, this is not really working. And all of it, that's when you start spiraling. You start, okay, what am I going to do? Anxiety setting in. Now you're looking for ways to cope. You're sleeping more. That is when your pattern comes to play, because typically if you're maybe an early bird or a night owl, depending on where you fall, you find that you're doing the opposite. You're sleeping more or you're staying up more, which is unusual for your pattern. Then it becomes a problem, because now you're going to have to find a way to cope. People are drinking coffee on the go, around the clock, to keep themselves up. People are drinking caffeine in all kinds of things, whether it's an energy drink, whatever, around the clock just to cope. People are drinking alcohol around the clock just to cope. People are doing all kinds of, people sometimes will even fall on sex addiction. Will have to find somebody to keep, I need somebody to be with me at all times. That calms my anxiety. So at all times, there has to be somebody with me. And then that becomes an addiction. So now, if you don't have somebody with you in a day, it's a problem. You need somebody with you. And all these things can be curbed the right way. If you know what you're dealing with and you know that you can get help for it and you talk to the right people, you can find a right way to cope and it makes the situation so much better.
Right. It will definitely make it better because you need to ask for help. But since you started, how long are we looking at? When did you start becoming a certified
when I became a
counseling
psychologist? When did I become a counseling? I think I'm almost 2 years in.
2 years, right.
Yes.
So within the 2 years or since you started, have you realized or noticed any patterns, trends with how different art forms also affect the mental well-being of people?
Okay, one of the things that has come to me since I got into the space is that addiction is something that's a humongous problem in the country. People don't even know this. And it's not the broad headline of addiction, but it's the type of addiction. A lot of people now have gambling addiction.
Oh, yes.
It's very big. It's very heavy. Unfortunately, it's not a conversation we want to have because, and especially the young people now are the ones who are heavy on gambling addiction. You see, again, somebody will start gambling for 2 reasons. Maybe, my friend is making money from there. I'm told you can make money from there. And so they start it, and maybe you will win some small money and feel like, I can actually stay here and make more money. So they wake up every day and spend half their day doing that. Before long, it becomes their full day doing that. And then it becomes an addiction. So there's not a day that goes by without them gambling, whether they win or they don't win. Now, it's not even about winning anymore. It's about, I just have to do it. Because over a period, it becomes something that relaxes you, sustains you. When I go to, whether it's the casino, because some people are very heavy, whether it's going to the casino or whether it's me staying on my phone, doing all these bets, whatever they do, people will stay on from morning till night doing that. Not because they want to win, because it's become a way to cope, maybe with all the problems around them, you know? Maybe, I don't know, I'm not going to school, maybe I need more money, maybe I got fired, whatever their problems are. Once they get on their phone and they're doing it, it's relaxing, it's everything is going to be okay type of situation. So yes, I would say that gambling addiction is something that a lot of people are very heavy on. I can't give numbers because I have not taken my time to, I don't have any statistics, you know, but based on my experience as a counseling psychologist, the places I've spoken, the rehab centers I have been, the people I've seen, I would say that a lot of people are very heavy on gambling as an addiction at the moment. Yes.
Then, Natalia, it means that creatives can actually go through depression or mental health issues, challenges, and we might not even be able to know.
Oh yeah, they themselves might not know. That is the problem. You see, if you don't know there's something wrong with you, how will the next person know there's something wrong with you? Sometimes they themselves might not know. A lot of people are not, have a false sense of their emotions. People try to hide or cover up their emotions. You know, sometimes you wake up and you or something happens, you know, for the most part, people don't like to be seen crying. People hide to cry, right? You know that, right?
Very often.
Yes. When somebody wants to cry, when something is going on, they want to cry, they have to go and hide. Because it's vulnerability. People don't want to be, I don't want to be vulnerable. I can't sit on this screen and cry like people are watching me. Oh my God. Because you say, Natalia, you're so vulnerable. No,
Especially with men.
Oh, no. I can't be seen crying. No. I would rather die. So people don't embrace their vulnerability, which is a big problem because it is sweeping a lot of your emotions under the rug.
Right.
And you do it again and again and again, and eventually it becomes a mountain. And one day you just explode. People should allow themselves to feel their feelings. There's nothing wrong with feeling your feelings. And the thing about your feeling, you can't put your feelings on schedule. You can't schedule your feelings to say that today I'm going to be happy all through. I mean, you can give yourself, you know, sometimes we say all these positive affirmations to ourselves. I'm beautiful. Today I'm going to be successful. Today I'm going to be this. That's a different conversation. But you cannot schedule your feelings. Okay? You can say today I'll be happy all day. But in the middle of the day, you can actually be sad. And the sadness will not announce itself. It won't say, Natalia, in 30 minutes, you're going to be sad. No. You cannot schedule your feelings. Your feelings will show up when they show up. And you have to allow them to show up. You know, if something happens, if you see something happen to someone and you want to cry, you cry. Cry. If your feelings come to you, feel them, express them to the best of your ability. That is how you allow your emotions to play out and your mental state to balance out, if you may. You know, because if you keep on suppressing your emotions, you are sad, you want to cry, you can't cry. You're like, hey, I don't want to be seen crying, you can't cry. Anything is happening, you push it. Every day you're pushing your feelings down. You're doing a horrible thing to yourself. Because one day you have an outburst. All of those feelings you're pushing down, one day, you know when you do the, what's this thing that people drink? The white one, the local one is called
palm wine?
Palm wine. You know when you put it in a bottle, yeah? And you put it in the fridge for too long, you know it can explode. That level of explosion, a human being can have it. Because all of the things that you have suppressed over a period, one day it will not announce. Because again, your feelings, you cannot schedule them. One day it will not announce itself. You would have a meltdown. You'll be going through your day and you would just have an outburst. And you won't know where that is coming from. And people who know you maybe to be, oh, this guy there, he's such a gentle guy, like, and they will say, hey, Anna, baby, you know, hey, what's going on? It is because you have spent years suppressing all of your emotions. One of the things that anybody can do for themselves as a human being, please let your emotions play out. Don't suppress them. You cannot put them on schedule. You cannot say that, you know what I mean? Because even when you get home and you feel like you want to cry, the crying self will not come. It will disappoint you, unfortunately. So allow yourself to feel your feelings. Be vulnerable when you have to be vulnerable. It is a way to stabilize your state of mind. And that is really, really helpful, especially for the men. It is the reason why statistically a lot more men commit suicide than women. Because men suppress their feelings too much, way too much. They're like, hey, and this, and when a man has a problem, he doesn't have
that's society. It's because of our society.
Oh yes. It is in the way we raise our boys. Which has to change. I feel like the new generation of mothers need to do better. You know, you need to find a way to raise your sons better. Allow them to be vulnerable. It's okay for men to be vulnerable. It doesn't make them any less of a man. They are still a man. You know, all the way. All the way a man. But it's okay to be vulnerable.
So it's okay to be vulnerable this morning.
Absolutely.
But Natalia, do you also think there's a link between creativity and the ability to also cope with trauma?
Yes.
There is?
There is, yes. So there are many forms of therapy that come in art. So in recent times, I actually came across an adult coloring book
Right.
which a lot of therapists would recommend
Right.
for people who are going through anxiety,
Anxiety.
because it calms you down.
Right.
You know, when you actually take your time to find some Crayola, and it's like, you know, there's a big art that you have to paint. That's why people these days, they have painting sessions that people can just go to,
Right.
because it's very relaxed. It's therapeutic.
Right.
It calms you. Okay,
Right.
so there are many art forms
Art
that help you mentally,
Right.
you know, stabilize your state of mind.
Right.
Many art
Many
forms.
art
So creativity can actually help you mentally.
Mentally.
Yes, it can.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right. This has actually been very educative and well informing, because we all need to learn to be vulnerable,
Yes.
like you stated.
Yes.
So I want you to leave us with your final words.
Okay.
And what we should be looking out for from your foundation.
Okay.
And some of the things you're also putting in place, if there are
Okay.
future plans, any
Okay.
projects that you are embarking.
Okay. All right. So the Natalia Ando Foundation, one of the things we're doing in this first quarter is we are refurbishing the library and conference room at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital.
Right.
They have a rehab center called Serenity Place.
Okay.
We want to give it a facelift, you know,
Right.
make it look very serene for the occupants,
Right.
so that they can also enjoy
Enjoy.
the space.
Right.
So we are asking people to help us with, actually what we're looking for is very specific. We want furniture.
Right.
We want some air conditioners and some televisions, and you know, a couple of other things that can make a library and a conference room look as lively and beautiful as
Right.
possible. So you can reach out, actually go to our website, thenataliaandofoundation.com. There's all the information you need over there if you want to support, especially this cause in our first quarter. Also on World Mental Health Day, we're having a full-on dialogue,
Right.
creative arts and mental health.
Right.
We're inviting a lot of creatives to come and be part of the dialogue, to talk about their challenges, to talk about the way forward.
way
We'll also have a lot of mental health experts there as well, to sound the alarm, to let them understand that it's okay to feel their feelings.
Right.
And there's a lot of help for them. That will be happening in October, on October 10th,
Right.
World Mental Health Day.
Right.
Yes, so in the meantime, I mean, for anybody who's looking for any type of help with their mental health, you can reach out to me. I'm on Instagram at Yes I Am Natalia. Yes I am Natalia. Yes I am Natalia. Reach out to me on Instagram if you have any situation about your mental health. Presently, I'm not seeing anybody as in giving therapy to anybody, but I have a lot of my colleagues that I would recommend that you go and see to help you out with whatever your challenges may be. I have a lot of people who are reaching out to me. I have all kinds of addictions. It's crazy. It is crazy.
Right.
But it's also good. That is what we want.
We want.
We want people to seek help. So
Right.
do not hold back. If there's anything you're going through, just reach out to me on IG. Yes, I am Natalia, and we'll take it from there. So come and support the foundation. We have so many things that we're doing in the year. We're also looking for volunteers. So if you want to volunteer with the foundation, we're open arms.
Right.
Come and support us.
Right.
Come and
you
support
for
us at
joining
Santoa.
Okay, I will come.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us here in the
Yes.
studios. And remember that personally, what I picked is also the fact that find a good coping mechanism if you're going through anything. And Natalia also says that you can be vulnerable when you want to. Just forget about what people will think. Forget about what people will say, how they will perceive you. Learn to be vulnerable and find good coping mechanisms when you need to. And that will be all with this particular segment. We had Natalia Ando, and she is a certified counseling psychologist. So you heard her with all what she has got here for us here on the show. Do want to stick and stay with me. I will be back with more.
I'm gonna do my part and make this a positively beautiful day.